I still remember when I was first starting out, opening iMovie, throwing some 480p footage on the timeline, slapping on some extremely non-copyright friendly music, sitting back and thinking, wow, this is a cinematic masterpiece. Thankfully, those days have come and gone, and as my filmmaking has progressed, so has my need for certain softwares. The next move was to switch from iMovie to Final Cut Pro 10, which worked for a while until I moved to New York to start my career as a freelancer professionally and realized that most people over there were using Premiere, so that if I wanted to get hired, I would have to work in Premiere and be able to pass project files back and forth and collaborate with these editors there. So I did what any reasonable person would do in this situation. I just started accepting freelance jobs that required Premiere and decided to figure it out as I go, because how hard could it really be? Yeah, I use Premiere all the time. It's practically my middle name. I mean, funny story actually, they used to call me Michael Premiere Bliss because of how much I use that program.
Welcome to a new video. Today we are going to go over everything you need to know to get started in Premiere Pro, even if you have no experience.
Okay, obviously that was a little bold, but sometimes you just have to back yourself to figure it out, and the transition really wasn't that bad. The thing is, I knew how to edit already. It was just a matter of figuring out the slightly different controls to maneuver through the timeline. That was back in 2018, and I have been pretty faithfully using Premiere for all of my editing ever since. Until now. So it's time for a change, one that I've been meaning to make for a while now, and that is to switch over to Davinci Resolve for my editing. In this video, I'm going to talk about what made me finally commit to this switch and why I'm excited to dive into this new software. So if you're sitting at home possibly contemplating the same thing, to switch, to not switch, maybe this video will be the push you need to give it a try. So ultimately, there were a number of reasons why I wanted to switch away from Premiere, but something happened the other day that was pretty much the final straw for me. I was just trying to convert my C-Log 3 footage to 709 using the same conversion LUT that I have used for the entire time that I've owned the R5C, which was the camera that the footage was coming from. And it just wasn't working. I'll put it up on screen here. You can see this image is with the conversion LUT applied, and the colors are still washed out, the contrast is off. You can tell this is just not correct. And so out of curiosity, I opened up Resolve with the same footage and put the same exact file on, and I'll put a split screen here so you can see, but boom, that's how it's supposed to look. I know it doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but these are the type of things that pop up in Premiere all the time, these little things that will slow you down or frustrate you and distract you from really doing your best work. And so over time, I think that just kind of adds up and it gets to where you aren't having as much fun editing, which means you aren't going to do your best work. So with that being said, I'll give you one more quick example of an issue like this, and then the rant portion of this video, I swear, is over. So one time I updated Premiere in the middle of a project. I know. This was back before I had trust issues with this program. But basically I updated and I reopened the client project that I was working on of an hour-long interview with hundreds of cuts. And when it reopened up, to my horror, on every single cut, it was starting the footage over based on the source footage. So every single one of the hundreds of cuts that I had made on this interview, it was just starting from the beginning. So it essentially rendered the entire project useless. These are just a couple examples of Premiere failing at the basic fundamental parts of video editing that really make me question how professional of a program it is currently. Okay, so this is actually supposed to be an optimistic video, believe it or not. I know it might not seem like that so far, but it's supposed to really be about how excited I am to be learning again in a new program and really returning to a beginner's mindset in a lot of ways. Don't get me wrong, there's obviously things that I could still learn about in Premiere, but after editing in that program for so many years, I kind of feel like I can borderline edit in there with my eyes closed. I know where everything is fast, whereas now I have to really slow down and get back in that beginner mindset of learning every day and picking up things here and there. And it's kind of an exciting time to be in, to be honest. Before I get into the specifics of why I'm excited to be using this program, I do want to make a note that this video is in no way sponsored, but in full disclosure, the people at Blackmagic Design did send me over a package of gear on loan to try out now that I will be editing in Resolve, which I'm very excited to open. So let's take a brief break here and do a little unboxing segment. Okay, I think this might be the first unboxing I've ever done on this channel, so hopefully this goes well. I don't really know how to do this, but let's open this box. Probably should be a little careful if there's fancy equipment in here. Haven't gone to the gym yet today. I'm realizing now I should have done like a top-down angle, but it's okay. We're gonna live through the experience. Ooh. So we have the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K Pro. Pretty sweet. I've actually used this camera on shoots before, and yeah, it's insane. It's an amazing camera. Next we have this, which is the DaVinci Resolve Speed Editor. I have never used this product before. So yeah, I'm excited to try this out, see if it helps with the edit workflow at all. T5 SSD for the Blackmagic camera. And then lastly, this is a Sigma EF lens to put on the Blackmagic, since I currently shoot on the C70 and R5C, so I have RF mount lenses. So this will be handy because I can't put my RF mount lenses on the Blackmagic camera because it's an EF mount. So while this gear is super cool and I appreciate the gesture, I promise that these fancy gifts have not clouded my judgment or factored into my opinions in this video at all. So with that being said, let's get into some of the main reasons why I've decided to switch over to DaVinci Resolve for my current editing workflow. Since this will be my first full video in Resolve, I can't really go really in depth into all of the pros of the program, but what I can do is give you my first initial impressions on what I think are the main features that really stand out against the competition. So starting off, I don't think it's much of a shock that the first thing that comes to mind is the color grading. Resolve has long been a favorite of colorists, and I can instantly see why. There's just so many options in there. The node structure is a little bit different to get used to coming from Premiere, but so far it's been pretty intuitive, and I've been able to get the hang of it for basic corrections right now. And then I think you can kind of level up as you go. And I can tell I'm already gonna get lost in YouTube tutorials on the best node structures and practices and all that. And then also just the way that color management works is so much better. Being able to take the footage that you shot and convert it into DaVinci wide gamut to color grade, which gives you a lot more dynamic range and data to work with when you're coloring, and then converting it back to 709 for delivery makes a huge difference. And I already think that my footage looks a lot better going through that process than what I used to use in Premiere. The second big pro might sound dumb to you, but it's literally that the program works. As far as I can tell so far, there aren't weird bugs and glitches that happen all the time, and it feels snappy to go through the timeline and edit in the different tabs in the program. Compare this to when I was color grading in Premiere, and I would make a change and the program monitor would take a few seconds to update. So it was really hard to fine tune in your little color grading details, especially when you got to the end and you had a bunch of color layers on. My computer would just slow down so much that it just made color grading not fun at all. And it's not like the reason this is happening in Premiere is because I'm using a computer that can't keep up. I'm using a pretty fast machine to edit on. It's an M3 Max MacBook Pro with 64 gigabytes of RAM. So I think I should be able to color grade YouTube videos on that machine. So far in Resolve, in the color tab, everything I'm doing is snappy. I can see all the changes happen in real time, and that makes a big difference. And at the end of the day, even that alone is a huge reason that I'm excited about Resolve, because how your image looks is obviously such a huge part of a video. So the fact that everything works in the program, everything seems to be pretty fast and it doesn't crash all the time is kind of my second big pro wrapped together into one package and one point. And lastly, I think it's pretty sweet how you pay a one-time fee for the studio version of Resolve and you have it forever. And they aren't just sitting back and letting you use the products, they are actually continually improving it with updates that seem to be pretty significant and make your life as an editor better. I always thought that Premiere, while they do update it a lot of the updates would just be random things that kind of no one asked for. Like an update would pop up and it would say, new in Premiere version 14.3, now you can edit your footage and label it as shot while your cat was asleep. And I would just be sitting there like, well, I don't even have a cat. And then bam, it would just crash anyway, so it didn't matter. Okay, in all seriousness, I do think this is a really good feature. The fact that Blackmagic seems to be continually listening to the people that are using their product and rolling out updates to make it better is a big factor for me when choosing which editing program to trust with my work. The last part of this I want to mention is that I have no loyalty to any of these programs. If Premiere suddenly gets their act together and is the best of the best in every category, I have no issues switching back and taking back everything I've said here. Do I think that's likely? Not really, but if it happens, I will happily switch back. No one is watching a video and thinking, wow, this video is amazing, but you know what would make it better if it wasn't edited in Premiere, if it was edited in Final Cut or DaVinci. What it really comes down to at the end of the day is what is best for your workflow, what's the most efficient, what works, what you have the most fun working in, because that's important to be creative. And yeah, it's just personal preference. And right now, looking at all of the options, I feel like I'm having the most fun learning Resolve. It's the most efficient and it seems to just work really well. So that's basically the reason that I am switching over right now. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this one. Make sure to leave a like if you did. And other than that, I will see you again soon for the next one.